Hello everyone, and welcome back to Warships Blitz with Terry. We'll have another contributed video today, because I absolutely had no time whatsoever to do any recording, which means I'm going through my stash of videos that have been sent in. And this one has been sent in by Eckson. Unfortunately, as you will see, the recording has kind of cut a little bit on the sides, but I'm sure you're going to get the gist, and I'm going to make the best of making a point here. So we don't actually get an opening screen, we'll just get the cage map. And Eckson here is paired up with another cruiser, and you see who's who in the battle results at the end. They're playing cage. So what do you do in a cruiser? What cruiser is Eckson actually in? He's in the Wichita, the Tier 8 American heavy cruiser. Now, where do you go on cage? It's a center cup map, obviously. You've got one destroyer on the enemy team. You've got 3 battleships on your team. These 3 battleships should be at the center. Now, you can play the American heavy cruisers bow in quite effectively and find yourself a position. And One Winged Angel here, who is no stranger either on this channel, has, rightfully is calling this out and saying, let's get in the cup. But Eckson here is covering the flank. Now, I know that this is controversial, and personally, I like this island up ahead there. Because if you're in a cruiser or in a highly mobile ship, not a destroyer, in a cruiser, or maybe a battle cruiser, you get a lot of opportunities from that island. You can make your way into the cup if that becomes necessary, or you can get out in crossfire, or you can intercept something that comes around the flanks. So, by the looks of it, there is a Shapayev back there. And Eckson here is still not spotted. He's not also in range of the Shapayev. But the Shapayev has found himself a handy island, has made the island his waifu, and has decided to start HE spamming people, which is absolutely the right thing to do, because he can fire over the island, and while he is spotted, because Eckson is spotting him, no one appears to be shooting back at him. So he's just sitting there pressing the fire button and enjoying himself. So Eckson has got the AP loaded and is thinking of, making his life somewhat more unpleasant. Because the Shapayev is a light cruiser, but plot twist, there's a Bismarck, and the Bismarck doesn't seem to be wanting to get in the cup circle either. So Bismarck obviously being, also a considerable threat here, and it's even a black Bismarck, so he opens up at the Bismarck, switches over to the high explosive, and sees if he can bait these two out of their positions, because he is one ship that's not in the cup circle, and there are 2 ships that are not in the cup circle. So at this stage, he decides to open up on the Bismarck, who's not even shooting at him. He could have done some considerable damage to the Shapayev by now, and now he switches over to the Shapi and back to the armor piercing. But now Shapayev is starting to dodge because he sees that he's going to get under fire, so he doesn't take a huge amount of damage. But given that the Bismarck wasn't even shooting at him, I would have probably tried to actually rush the Shapayev. But let's see. So he's still got he's still got 2 ships chasing him. There's the Black Bismarck, who still doesn't seem to be paying any attention to the fact that there's an American cruiser on his other side. But he's got some work to do with the Shapayev. Now, the problem obviously being that the American heavy cruisers have their guns in the front, so they are actually quite good at shooting forward, not so good at, not necessarily so great at kiting away, because it means that you have to swing your turrets around. So the Shapayev does still give chase, but the Bismarck's on lower health, so he's trying to set him on fire again. Also, the Bismarck is currently being shot at by other ships, so if you can remove, especially that they're a battleship down, if you can remove an enemy ship from the game, then that's always what you should prioritize. And the Bismarck has finally realized that he's being shot at and is starting to return fire. So now Eckson here is under fire by both the Shapayev and the Bismarck. So what are you going to do in that kind of situation? You kite away. And the Shapayev is realizing that he's not actually getting anything done, whereas the Bismarck seems to be just trying to get his broadside to bear. But, you just have to turn the ship in, and then he can't do much to you. So he's keeping 2 enemy ships out of the cup circle. Now he's run out of map, so he will have to give broadside to someone. Fortunately, the Shapayev, in the meantime, has decided that that American heavy cruiser at 6 kilometer range is no danger to him, and shooting at other people. So Well, 6 kilometers, Shabayev, off we go then. Secondaries, go. And rapid reload on. So now suddenly the Shabayev is finding himself under a lot of fire and has realized that he's in a light cruiser. And meanwhile, One Winged Angel kills the Gascogne. Oh, the Shabayev has tried to torpedo someone, bless his soul. Oh dear, the dream of all Shabayev drivers. Meanwhile, the North Carolina there has figured that that Black Bismarck looks very low on health. I better go over and support him, rather than we're supporting the rest of his team. So he's now also firing at Eckson, and Eckson is taking a lot of shots, but they're not doing very much because. First of all, it's a North Carolina, and second of all, his aim is slightly off, if I may say so. And they've got the cutback. So Eckson decides to just stop firing his guns, because now the Black Bismarck and the North Carolina are sitting at the edge of the map with nothing to shoot at, necessarily, or at least not him, and he can head back towards the cap and help defend that. So he's on high explosives, and these two clowns in their battleships now leaving that Iowa in there pretty much on his own. So he's getting flanked by a North Carolina and a Benson, and he's getting HE spammed from a Wichita, so he's very much dead. Which means that the enemy team now only has 3 ships remaining, 1 destroyer which is somewhere up in the north, and they have the channel has choice words for their teammates. I don't necessarily support that kind of language, but they should have what they should have done. Both that North Carolina and the Bismarck, because now the North Carolina realizes that the action's over here and he's over there, which is not where the action is. So he's coming back to get set on fire by Eckson, but his guns are pointing in the complete wrong direction, so Eckson can give broadside without any fear of retaliation from the North Cal. Meanwhile, One Winged Angel comments on the difficulty he had to convince his own team that the capture circle is a place where you actually want to be, rather than a dangerous place to avoid. So now they're just, casually burning down the North Carolina over there, because that game is over anyway, no matter what he does at this stage. The enemy destroyer is back in the capture circle, but there's a Cleveland now in there, so not really much going to happen. So Eckson just reversing, and at this range he figures he might go for the armor piercing, but the game's over anyway, so it's really no reason to bother. But there we go. So, what does that mean? What does that mean? That if you are in a cruiser, you should not go into the capture circle, especially in an American heavy cruiser? No, not at all. American heavy cruisers are actually very good at tanking positions in capture circles, because they're just going to go bow in and still can use 2/3 of their guns. What they can also do, though, is be a threat, and or be a threat or be a bait. Because if a battleship sees a cruiser which seems to be isolated and sailing around somewhere in the edge of nowhere, they go, kills, damage, capture circle be banned, I'm kill myself a cruiser. And if you know a little bit about shell dodging and kiting and not sailing broadside to battleships, they will very, very quickly find out that they spent half the battle firing at you and not actually getting anything done, and have wasted all that ammunition. So that sort of tactical play is something you can totally do, provided that your team is actually holding the cup, and you get the freedom to do these kind of marauding skirmishes. And at some stage, he had 2 or 3 enemy teams outside the cap circle, and they couldn't really get to the cap circle because they were either chasing him, or they were being shot at by him, or they were trying to kill him. So yes, you can do that. And I think this is a completely valid play, because if the enemy team ignores you and lets you loop around and gives you opportunities to do crossfires, American heavy cruisers can do some very unpleasant amount of damage. So yes, this is something you can do. Well played, and if you look at the end screen, it turns out it's a bit of an Argon versus Argon battle. And DC Gaming in the Gascogne, You can't win them all. You can't win them all, mate. So well played on all sides. And so yeah, sometimes you have teammates that you can't really deal with, and you can't carry them all. So thanks for sending that one in. That's all for today. I wish you all a good weekend, and I'll see you next week with some fresh footage. Anyway, bye bye.